All right. Good evening, everyone. We made it. We survived another weekend, did we not? Mugs up. Okay, for a second there, I thought I half forgot my coffee. We did not. That'd have been sorry coffee hour, wouldn't it? Almost dropped something too. And to find a better place to set that. Oh well. See, Halloween, glad you could make it. Angela, glad you could make it. Jade and Luna, good to see you. Dragon of the West, welcome. Okay, so a few things we need to go over really quick here as we get started. Um, I'm being told I don't say this enough. Remember, we do have the super chat. So if the chat room gets busy or something, or I'm missing your question, and you feel it's very important, you can use the super chat, make a small donation, and YouTube will flash it really big up on the screen, so I'll see it. Make sure your question does get the attention, or if you just want to make a donation. Many of you have donated just to help the channel out, or to buy me a cup of coffee, which is very sweet, and I do appreciate that. Um, oh, and if you'd like to support the channel, we do have channel memberships set up now with different perks, which we are getting ready to kick over into February. So the first of the month perks for tier 2 and 3, those will be going out tomorrow. So, yay for that. If you're wondering, I have a cheat sheet for all these things you all keep telling me I forget. I was told I should tell y'all, because some people apparently don't know, we have an online school. You can find the link below any of the videos for the online school, or you can find it at workingdragonmystic.com. We did actually just release a tarot reading class, so that's great. Facebook is still, again, giving us trouble. Facebook just don't like me, I'm starting to think, but that's okay. So if you try to sign up for the Facebook site or something, and you don't hear nothing, or you send a message and I don't get it for days, I apologize. Facebook's just being a pain. Doo-doo-doo. Oh yes, and the 6-month challenge is up and running. Everybody is doing great in that. For everyone participating, you all are doing an amazing job, and it's been really great and motivational for me just to see you all doing the work you're doing. Last week was a rough one for my personal challenge, which I did share some on, but also last week for me was also about identifying stressor points, and I can now utilize that to actually reach my goal quicker. So I'm going to still take last week as a win. Let's see. We did start a weekly topic on Discord. That was something we started up this past week. This past week was on grounding, centering, and shielding. It's gone over really great. We've had a lot of people sharing different techniques and the like. It's been a lot of fun. Different methods are being shared and tried. It's been a really good week. I will be posting this week's topic later tonight or early tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that if you're in the Discord group. And speaking of which, if you're not in the Discord group but you'd like to join, go to the About section. You'll see the link there. I feel like a commercial right now. So let's take a break real fast and say hello to some people who dropped in. And Wizard Warrior, good to see you. Karma, good to see you. Jenny, welcome. And Burden Noldis, good to see you as well. All right, we got some people filing in here. If you are here and you actually like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. It helps the channel out a lot. It lets YouTube know you do like what we're doing. Now, tonight we are actually going to try and stay on a slight topic here. It will be on meditation, self-improvement, and discipline. These are topics that I'm really seeing no one talk about them anymore, and they are foundational. Everyone wants to call them beginner. They're not beginner, they are foundational. They are something we should be working on always in our practice. And if you're not working on it, you're only hurting yourself in your practice. So we're going to talk about those a little bit tonight. And the final announcement, which personally I am excited about. Angela, I'm so glad you're here. The video talking about your candle charging technique. Myself and a few others have been testing this for several weeks now, and that video will be released on Tuesday. So keep your eyes out for that video on Tuesday. I don't think I missed anything. I think I got everything. Remind people super cheat. Okay, I think we got it. Okay, had my cheat sheet. We can put the cheat sheet down now. GK, welcome. Actually, yes, everyone did enjoy it. Everyone gave some really great feedback. There's a few other things we are wanting to test, but we wanted to go ahead and get a video going to, well, share the technique first off because it was very successful, but also to talk about where we want to take it from there. So yeah, everyone really enjoyed it, Angela. Okay, let's see what we got here. If I missed any, we can't forget coffee at Magickal Coffee Hour. No, we cannot forget coffee at Magickal Coffee Hour. That would just put a hex on the whole damn thing, wouldn't it? Uh, honestly, with headaches, generally salt can help because it's usually electrolytes and dehydration, especially when you're coupling it with being sick. I really do not give out spell work for health on here, largely because people get the idea that you could use magic to replace a doctor, and I'm not going to get down that rabbit hole and get someone in trouble or hurt. Let's see, GK. Oh yeah, Angela. A lot of us actually had several little questions and everything to add to it to see how much further we could take it and play around with a few things, which I talk about in the video. So yeah. All right. Now, when it comes to tonight's topic of meditation, self mastery, and discipline, I know these are things people do not like. And honestly, somehow, some way, there's been something lost in communication over the years of magic. And a lot of people want to blame chaos magic. I don't blame chaos magic. I really do not. Because there's this ideal that we can just do whatever we want. And technically, and I will use the word technically, that's true. But in chaos magic, if you actually read a book on chaos magic, Condensed Chaos is actually one I would really recommend. There is a process and there is a criteria. It's not you just do whatever you want. You can utilize different things you want and apply it in a process that you design, but it does have to yield results. But you have people out here now with no focus, no discipline. They're not getting even half the results they want. They will ask you for help. You will advise, and then, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it my way. Okay, fine. That is your choice. That is your prerogative. But my general question on that is, why are you asking for help if you're not going to do it anyway? That's always seemed a little ironic to me. But when it comes to self-mastery is taking charge of your life and it being what you want to be, living how you want to be. But in order to do that, you also have to hold yourself accountable, which we did a video that we discussed about accountability and owning your own stuff. Much like this past week, I found a bunch of faults in me that's only going to help me to better my practice. Now, meditation is one of the foundational things because it does help you with focus and with discipline, which are both very, very important when you're applying magic. Because no matter what magic you're doing, no matter how you're doing it, you are directing your will and your intent. And if you can't focus and if you can't discipline yourself to maintain that focus, your intent is not going to be directed. And at that point, you're like throwing darts after being spun in circles blindfolded. Yeah, theoretically, throw enough darts, you'll hit your target. Not very efficient, not very effective. So I would like to talk a little bit about those some night if we could. So we got here a few things. Actually, no, Hermetic. I've not been able to. My friend has not been able to get back with me, and I've not really. I've looked over my notes for the original middle pillar, and I think it's very possible. But I really want to get someone who has a bit more um, practice and in-depth knowledge and familiarity before I just make that jump myself. So I'm trying to get his help with that one. Much like I did with the Draconic Lesser Banishing Ritual of Pentagram, which I still have not posted on this channel. I just realized. Need to make a note of that. Because there are certain things where, well, it's not even certain things, it's everything. I really like to get multiple points of view. But I can at least say, I guess that is an update, that it appears very possible for me. Karma, I started my left-hand path and really wanted to know any meditation to help or some techniques. Okay. First off, any path is any path. You don't, whether you decide to go left hand or right hand, magic is magic. It's more philosophical differences. So any meditation could help you. We do have a basic meditation video you can check out. But now, as far as just getting started, one of my favorite meditations to get my students started on is just a basic deep breathing visualization meditation. Now, your basic deep breathing is great for relaxation, don't get me wrong. It can also be used for centering. But one of the reasons I love deep breathing for visualization is you can really get the benefits, get your body centered, get your body calmed. It makes it real easy to get into that meditative state just by using deep breathing. But as many people will tell you, deep breathing is boring. So if we couple that with visualization exercises that can benefit us, mind you, now we are really multitasking here. You are relaxing yourself, you're getting into a meditative state, and coming straight out of the gate, you're already starting to utilize visualizations. So the big one that I start my students with is working on their grounding and their centering and recognizing their energy body. So I tell them to focus give a good focus for probably at least 3 to 6 breaths only on your breathing. By the time you hit that third or sixth breath, you're going to be in a good relaxed state, which is going to make your visualization easier. Then I want you to picture you, and I want you to see you as like a container, and I want you to visualize your energy. And what I want you to do when you do this is I want you to let the energy fill itself in. Don't try to fill in the details yourself. Just let the details come to you. And I want you to see, and the question I want you asking while you're doing this is, where is my energy low? Where is it out of balance? Where is it lacking? And what's interesting is some people right out of the gates can pick this up. Some will take them 3 or 4 times, but you're going to notice little pockets of energy lacking throughout your body. Your container is not equally full. At that point, I want you to look at that energy, and I want you to ask the question, not what's positive, not what's negative. What energy here is benefiting and focused on my goals? Now, this question, you will need to know what your goals are. I usually recommend weekly goals for starting out. Though you could do daily goals. Daily goals are easy if you can, especially if you can do this meditation daily, which is recommended. At which point, the energy will start to shift. Sections of it will stand out, and some will fall back. The stuff that, whichever way you want it, the energy, some people do it so that the energy that stands out is what's benefiting them, and what falls back is what is not. And some people switch it. What falls back is what's benefit them, and what is not benefit them stands out. That is a personal choice. Make the choice that best suits you. And then I want you to ground out the energy that's not suiting you. I want you to visualize you just getting rid of that. You can visualize yourself breathing it out with those deep breaths. So it's just all exiting out. You can ground it into the earth. I know some people will actually breathe it into a candle they got lit in front of them so it burns out the energy. But now this has left you with less energy than you started with, hasn't it? We just poured some out of the tank. Now I want you to pull in just neutral energy, just neutral energy. And as you pull it in, I actually want you to focus on those goals. And this is important because now we're filling the tank with energy that we are literally shaping to help us toward the goals that we're working on, whatever they be. It can just be getting better grades. It can be helping us with our practice. It can be helping us in our magical skill development. Whatever our goals are, focus it. And I usually say start with anywhere from 2 to 3 goals. Because as long as the energy is generally beneficial to you, which is why we're pulling in that neutral energy, it's going to help in everyday life. But by focusing it as well, we are directing it toward our goals. So I want you to fill the container that way. And once it's full, I want you to actually pull all the energy into center. Whatever you feel your center being, whether it be your belly, your heart, your forehead, it has to make sense to you. A lot of people's sternum, what you call your center has to make sense to you. And once it's all condensed into center, I want you to continue your breathing, and I want you to equally spread it through the body. So that is one of those things that will equally spread out, and that is literally what centering is. Not only are you pulling in that energy and setting the energy to work for you, but you are also balancing it within you. This way, there's not any overcharge, undercharge, wonkiness that can happen. And believe me, even the adepts out there forget to do this quite often. But from there, just take the time to relax a little bit, enjoy the meditation, focus on seeing yourself actually achieve your goals, and then bring yourself out of it with anywhere from 3 to 6 deep breaths as you're breathing. Instead of feeling yourself drop into the meditation, feel yourself coming up out of it. That would be one of the best starter meditations for a beginner. And time again, I've seen that very simple meditation just slingshot people in their practice. I may actually do a video for that particular meditation, trying to do a walkthrough with it. Hope that helps you a little bit there, Carmen. Well, there's been a lot of people got snow along different coasts, so depending on where Violet Star lives, they might have some snow issues. Have I worked with the Black Sun? I have worked with the Black Sun within the Qliphoth during my Qliphothic Pathworking. And, well, it's not just Amon. There's a lot of different things that actually utilize the title of Black Sun. It's unfortunately not a singular thing. It does differ from traditions to traditions. So just saying it's Amon is it is Amon within the Egyptian paradigm for sure. So, but I have worked with it throughout the concepts of the Qliphoth, within the realms of the Qliphoth, and working through that. It has been a while. I know I'm going to have to go back because many of you know I finished off a Pathworking last year. Pretty intense, really. I'm still processing a lot of that information. That's one of the reasons y'all don't hear me talking too much about it. I don't like to overly talk about it until it's fully processed. And of course, you know there's a third part to that particular Pathworking that the author done that deals very specifically with the tunnels. And I am probably going to postpone doing that Pathworking for maybe next year. Currently, I'm very deep into the Norse current right now, working with Odin and them. Um, and I'm really getting a lot out of it. There's information and stuff that my first few times through just I didn't get, and that is amazing. So I'm really hyped about that. Of course, I'm also working on some courses and trying to get some more video content out, especially Norse content. Many of you will be happy to know somehow, some way, the whole lifetime of this channel, this video has not been made. But many of you will be happy to know we are actually doing a video on Thor. How we have not done a video on Thor up until now, I don't know. I do not know. But he is finally going to get his time to shine. So we will be recording that video hopefully very, very soon. It is completely detailed out, all the bullet points and all that's done up. We're ready to, all I got to do is sit down and get it filmed. Please do a video on that meditation. It would be great. Tell you what, I'll go ahead and make a note of that real fast for you all. Please ignore the clicking while the idiot who forgets everything makes notes. Starter meditation to balance direct energy. There we go. All right, got it noted. Got it noted. So yes, we will get that done. Because I do actually want to get more meditation videos up. You all seem to love them, and I will admit, with the holidays and everything, I think I've even mentioned it on here that I want to do more meditation videos. It's just been a very hard thing to get done with the holidays. And I know the holidays are over, but January has been a crazy month. It really has. I think, knock on wood, I think it's starting to slow down and pan out a little bit, and I should be able to get some more stuff done, which will be nice. Oh, and for those of you who were wondering, we are going to try and get back to the Friday vlogs. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a Friday live stream, so we are possibly going to be doing weekly vlogs on Fridays. You saw the first one this Friday talking about some of the things we're considering tinkering about, and hopefully those will be able to continue up nicely. Karma, if an entity is speaking during a pathworking, oftentimes they will actually utilize your voice as it's actually easier. This is why journals help. You need to be asking questions, and you need to be coming out and doing research. You don't just take things in blind faith, or at least you don't in my case. So early in my career, I would always test things. I would ask questions, and I would seek out information, and I'd ask questions I didn't know the answer to. And if I was working with this entity to achieve a goal, I was also tracking that information as well and seeing how many of these things actually came to pass. Also, Carmen, I would also suggest that you check out our video, Are Entities Real or Not? Because there is actually a philosophical debate that by and large cannot be answered. Are entities true, genuine, real entities, or are they just parts of our subconscious that we are utilizing in order to put to action and develop and drive us forward and manifest? And it is us ourselves that are able to actually manifest this. And at the end of the day, I'll say it doesn't really matter, because if you're getting the results and the magic is working, it doesn't really matter. But I believe in that video I state that I started off with the more psychological concept view, and over the years I've drifted very drastically into the I do believe entities are separate of us, but it is a philosophical debate. And there's no real way at this point in time for any magician to prove one way or the other. That's kind of the interesting thing. But your data can help you to see if you're getting the results. And that's really your best bet. is to follow that data. Peachy, glad to see you. Hermetics, I actually don't work with celestial bodies much at all. I really don't. If you check out my video on Mercury retrograde and how I avoid its effects, I don't allow energies to affect me. I take and direct energies coming in, period. So when it comes to astrology or celestial bodies, I don't tend to work a lot with them. I have worked occasionally with celestial bodies through evocations, such as, like the spirit of Jupiter and the spirit of Saturn, those kinds of things. And of course, there's plenty of entities out there that are categorized under these, like Saturnian spirits and stuff. But as far as directly, I tend to not really work with them that much. Um, I know that's weird because a lot of people's like that has a bit more math and science to it than a lot of other magics, and you would think I would gravitate toward that. Um, and I keep telling myself I'm going to. I keep telling myself I'm going to. I just never end up doing it, and I keep getting drawn into other researches, which I can't complain. My research has done nothing but benefit me and help me and my family. But I don't tend to work with those a lot. And I do know one of the reasons I don't. I did get on a kick where I was ready to dive into it. I was not living where I currently am, I was somewhere else. And I started researching it. And unfortunately, while researching it in the area I lived in, I tripped and fell into a UFO conspiracy group that annoyed the living tar out of me. And they annoyed me so bad, I literally distanced myself as far as I could from anything planetary, celestial, or astrological because I didn't. Um, I love the study of UFOs from a science perspective, but when it gets culty like that, no, couldn't handle it. Could not handle it. So I shelved it, and I just never got back to it. So that's another thing. And I mean, they were out there. They were interesting. I say, Angela, I do believe they are separate of us. Some questions are never meant to be truly answered. And I'm kind of glad some questions are never meant to truly be answered. That's kind of what I don't know what I'd do if I knew everything. I honestly, I don't want to know everything. Two reasons. First off, I look at Odin in the Havamal, and he warns about too much wisdom and too much knowledge and how it can truly make you depressed. Um, and I totally get that because if I knew everything, I would have no adventure left. I'd have no mystery left. I would have no pursuit left. I'd have no goals left. That's not life. That's a fate worse than death. That is eternal boredom. Um, that's a terrifying concept. Absolutely terrifying. Um, which is, I know I've said it on this channel. What the reason I love what I do um, is because there's always that sense of adventure. There's always something new to do, something new to learn, different things to push, to try and get out there and do things you ain't done before. Uh, it's kind of the same reason I like bushcraft camping. You get to push the envelope, you get to test yourself, see what you can do. That kind of stuff I enjoy. Um, so yeah, ooh, what in the world was that? My computer's up here making noises, and I don't know why. Okay, that was weird. Hopefully, we're still connected. uh, the other two, or I'm going to call you Rose. Which deities should one research or work with for self improvement and love? With self improvement, I know this is going to sound weird. Um, Freya is great, and so is Thor. Thor is actually amazing. Um, when it comes to self improvement, because he is that kind of quintessential, honorable, loyal, hardworking warrior concept where constantly improving the self, constantly pushing the self is really great. Um, and I found Frey is really good at that as well. Who else would I go to? Odin's pretty good at it. Not gonna lie, Odin is good. Some people find Odin's methods to be a bit droll. I find Odin to be quite fun to work with personally. For that, I know a lot of people who actually work with Aphrodite for self improvement and self love. Um, let's see. Ooh. Lilith. Lilith is also very, very good for self improvement and love, as is Namal. Um, I've heard Samael can be very good at self improvement, though his can be a bit harsher, which is understandable. But he is an option, as is Lucifer. Um, Michael, Archangel Michael is really great for self improvement. Um, trying to think of something that's just not Norse. I mean, my brain is heavily geared Norse right now. Um, Actually, they're not deities, but any of the first four elemental rulers in Dragon Magic, all those are amazing for self improvement. And when we're talking about self love, I really love Cora Allegra for that because she really helps us work on the emotional side of self improvement, which helps us to conquer fears and to challenge ourselves, which I think is very important to self improvement. Because so many people let their fears stop them. So she can really help you with that. But I also find Terra Fauna to be really good as well, um, because she also has a very healing nature to her and a very steadfastness, and which is nice. So they all can help in their particular areas. Of course, in matters of the mind, speech, logic, stuff like that, things that would correspond with air, Zephyr Seal would be very good. Um, so that's a pretty large list to get you going. Do I have any book recommendations for pathworking? And have you ever worked with Lilith? Because in the last week, bombarded by Lilith books and pathworking, and Uns want to know if she worth it. I have worked with Lilith. I love working with Lilith. I'm wanting to do a video on Lilith, and it's kind of weird. Um, every time I sit down to outline a video for Lilith, I had an interesting relationship with Lilith for a very, very long time. The way Lilith is portrayed modernly, she was not an entity I ever thought I would work with. But when I did reach out and work with her, I absolutely adore her. Um, and I know I'm tripping myself up when I'm wanting to do this video because I'm wanting to try and present her as I have come to know her and love her and how great she can be to help people, men and women. Because a lot of people think Lilith will not work with men. That's not true at all. She adores men, and she adores working with us, um, which was a fact that I did not know originally. And she was the one who reached out to me first. So I know what you're going through there, Karma, when she reaches out. I did not originally. I still don't use uns too often in my practice. That more originates from demonolatry, which, as I've told in the Goetic videos, demonolatry is more religion based than magic. And though they have a good magic system, and I agree with many things, y'all know me in religion. So I don't tend to use uns as often. I tend to prefer to write my own incantations or short prayers or callings. But as far as a specific Lilith path working, all my work with her was done individually through evocation, and through the Cliffothic path working, which is an entirely different beast. However, I do know the author of that path working does also have books on Lilith, and you might want to look into reading some reviews on those, Karma, which is Asenath Mason. She has several books on Lilith, I believe. That might be a great jumping off point if you wanted to get started there. As far as an entity to work with, Lilith is amazing. She really is. And I'm just going to have to sit down, bite the bullet, do a video. And if it's an incomplete video, I'll do a second video. Y'all know how to do that. I'll say what I got to say. And if I decide I need to say something else, I'll do another video. That's the beauty of YouTube. You can always do a second follow-up video. But no, Lilith is a wonderful entity. Let's see. How many practices of magic and stuff, and there's other abilities too, like, yeah. Putting a number on the different practices is pointless. Magic is magic is magic, okay? It's magic. When we talk about paths, when we talk about traditions, it is a method of directing that energy. That's it. Now, different paths, for example, do have different philosophies. Now, if you don't look at the modern terms for left and right hand path and you look at their original root cause, the right hand path was about denying the physical world, denying the self in order to reach ascent. The left hand path was about experiencing everything. It was about indulgence of the physical world till it got boring and you would ascend. Same goal, two different roads up the mountain. Neither one was correct. Neither one was wrong. They were just two different roads to the same way. And anytime someone has that path or is taking a path, that is a path. That is a practice. It can easily be said that every individual magician or practitioner has their own path. So by that, pathways are pretty much infinite. Now, traditions do differ slightly. In a tradition, everyone in the tradition follows the same framework. They all do the same stuff. They may deviate here or there just a little bit on their own personal path or exploration or research, but they all use the same central foundational teachings. So like Gardnerian Wicca, for example. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you wish to join a tradition and you wish to work with other people, and have everybody on that single tradition, that's fine. But traditions, usually, not always, you do have to be initiated into. You have to find a teacher. That's the reason you don't hear me coming up here talking about titles or stuff, because the few traditions I am initiated into, ultimately, they're not a large part of my practice. They were where I started. And I'm not even sure I consider myself amongst them. I still honor them. Anytime I run into anyone else initiated to them or an elder in that tradition, I give them the respect. And I always follow the rules and respect the traditions. So, yeah, there is no quantified number there. Wait, what? Let's see, A12. I'm hearing my practice of magic that beings, etc., are breaking ancient rules and wondering if you could or Drake could tell me about rules of magic. See, A12, this is a very, very difficult, tricky, big question. First off, when we're talking about ancient beings breaking ancient laws, there's very, very few ancient laws. in the concept that most people would put forward. The multiverse does function off certain rules. Largely, everything has to be in motion and growing, and there has to be maintained a balance. Those are kind of the two that really don't wiggle. Beyond that, it really depends on who you're talking about. There are ancient laws in the Feywild that only apply to the Feywilds. And the Fey are the only one who give a rat's rump. And if anyone else breaks them outside the Fey, no one cares. And you will see this in practically every culture. Even the 28 laws of magic A12, which I did a video on, if you check those out, those are 28 laws that have been observed to function in magic. They're not finite, ancient, unbreakable laws. They are very, very fluid. When we are talking about ancient laws of the multiverse and entities breaking them, it doesn't really work that way. Entities have been breaking and bending rules always. Look at Odin, for example. There are very, very codified rules within what most people would view as the Norse traditions that Odin will break. He will break them. And it annoys the piss out of Thor. So, I mean, it really depends on where you're coming at. There's no singular way to approach that one, if that makes sense. And as what happens if one of these rules are broken depends on who breaks it, depends on what culture, what plane. There's so many factors. There's no one thing to do. Because like the Fae, they have different punishments they deal out for rules being broken. The dragons have rules they deal out. The Olympians have things they will do. The Azir have things they will do. The Egyptians have things they will do. They all will approach the problems in very, very different ways, and there's no one singular answer to that. Jennifer, I don't work with any clans, and I'm actually in no shape, form, or fashion associated with the Hatchling clan. That is kind of an Azure Dragon Feather thing. That's her deal. I do not do that. My dragon magic, I work directly with the dragons and the rulers. I am not part of a dragon group of any kind. And the dragons are the ones who wanted me to do the pathworkings for like the Dragon Magic 101. It's not about group, it's about individual. So that's the best I can give you there. Yeah, see, Jennifer, you've nailed it. There is no one true path. We each have our own little thing we're doing. When I teach, I will teach from the data I have that has worked time and time again for students that I've had, because I find that gives a very reliable road to progress the skill sets and to get a person where they're going. However, you'll also notice on this channel, I encourage experimentation. That's one of the reasons the journals, I say they are your most valuable tool. Your journal, no matter how you utilize it, is your most valuable tool. It allows you to experiment. It allows you to try. It allows you to track data. It allows you to track your results and your manifestations. And as I've said, time and time and time again, if what you're doing is working, if what you are doing is yielding results for you, and as long as you're not hurting innocent people, awesome. You do you. And I will be happy for you. In fact, me swinging this around, you'll probably see I've started yet another journal on Norse because of the pathworking I'm doing. So I'm keeping notes and everything so that I have that data. There is no one true path. There isn't. Even the pathways where people's like, well, I did this. It might be extremely dangerous, but if it worked for them, there's people jump out of perfectly good airplanes every day for fun. Not what I would call safe. I'm terrified of heights. I don't really like planes in general. So jumping out of a perfectly good one seems crazy to me. I would not recommend, but people do it. So there is no one true path. Let's see, Angela. I'm just forgetting my own little witch hood here. My path is just mine. I love the freedom and diversity of magic. Amen, Angela. Amen. That's one of the things I love to sit down and talk with practitioners, because anymore it's become a competition. And I don't like that. It's like, well, this is what I do. Great. Let's discuss philosophy. Let's discuss techniques, much like chefs would discuss a recipe. I stand to learn from you, and perhaps you could learn a little something from me. I get up here, I talk, I rant, I do what I do. I share what information I can, not because I believe it is the definitive ultimate answer, but because my dad has shown it to work for me and many others. And if you care to try it, take it for a test run, even tinker with it in your practice. Awesome. Because again, it is your path, it is your self-mastery, it is your empowerment. Your path does not empower me, it does not help me in my self-mastery. That's your path. But I do believe conversations and sharing of information. The one thing I'm not a big fan of is gatekeeping. And I know that gets me in trouble with some people. People get up in here, Drake, you're sharing too much information. You should stop. I ain't going to. I think one of the most rewarding things I've done in my life, in all honesty, is to be able to share both my mistakes and my successes to potentially help other people. Oh, that's good coffee. Let's see. Tradition has gods of chaos that been all the times in the midst. Oh, yes, they do. Oh, yes, they do. I mean, people look, okay, let's just use the Norse as a good example here, okay? Everyone looks at Loki as the god of chaos, the treachery, the mischievous. He is. He is very much a god of change. He is very chaotic. He is mischievous. Many people love Loki. Many people hate Loki. Then we look at Thor. Mr. Honor, Mr. Loyal, Mr. Steadfast, won't break his word for nothing. He is the pinnacle of honor and warriorhood, as well as just common general hard worker. Okay, Loki and Thor are like night and day. But they are friends, and here's the kicker. Then look at Odin, the All-Father. Odin will happily use trickery. He will happily use mischief. He will happily lie if it achieves a goal. This is one of the things Thor is constantly arguing with Odin about. There is actually a story where Odin is trying to bless someone, and every time Odin blesses him, Thor is cursing him because they're just butting heads all the time. So you've got two friends. Well, not really. I mean, they are friends and companions, but Thor is Odin's son, that are butting heads because differences of opinion. They're not enemies. They just have differences of opinion, and they do butt heads on it. I got friends I butt heads with all the time. I'm sure most of y'all do too. And then there's Loki. Loki just likes to stir the pot. So Odin is kind of in the center between Thor and Loki. There's a lot of people who look at these three characters in mythology, and many view Loki and Thor as the extremes on the spectrum, while Odin is more of the balance. Maybe. That's kind of a philosophical take of the archetypes, of course. But there is at least something to ponder and meditate on in that. So yes, you do constantly have those getting changed and shaken up quite a bit. See, Jennifer, let's see here. If I have a slight energy to know when somebody's about to change something in the energy of the time or change the flow, or do you know what happens when? Okay, I don't know if this is two different questions, but yeah, I mean, by and large, if you're in tune with energy, you can pick up on a shift in it. Um, I actually do this quite often. I literally utilize this a lot when I'm in crowds to make sure no one comes up behind me. But I use it for other reasons. But being able to pick up on a preemptive shift or change in energy is pretty common. As to, let's see, the second one that may or may not be part of that, do you know what happens when I see white dots everywhere? I feel like magical something happening. Um, the white dots, okay, this is going to be a tricky one. So, seeing a white dot pattern or shift in energy could be an energetic shift. It could also be a potential glimpse beyond the veil into someplace else. However, it could also be medical. I have heard a lot of people with blood sugar problems mention the white dots, and that gets a little serious. So I don't want to just assume it's magical because there can be health issues. There's been a time or two where I've had white dot flashes that popped up right before I had a seizure because I'm epileptic. So I can't say the white dot thing is just energetic or magical. I can't do it. That wouldn't be fair to nobody. So if something like that visually is happening, you do need to pay attention to your health as well and try to eliminate that out. Never ignore your health, people. Never ignore your health. Angela, I would agree. Gatekeeping is hurtful. Let's see. See, GK, I know without this channel, I wouldn't have been able to cope with some of the things that I've been coping with lately. Please keep sharing. Oh, GK, man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Much up to you. I honestly, I'm glad I'm able to help. I really do. Um, I mean, I know a lot of channels complain about all the changes and everything that YouTube does, and that's understandable. But for me, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't make enough in ad revenue to do squat. Um, so it is from the Patreon supporters and the channel supporters that allow me to potentially make some changes and upgrades and improve the channel. And I do that to give back. All that is all about giving back to you all, because that is why I'm here. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to actually share. So even if YouTube flipped my monetization switch, I'd still keep doing what I'm doing. It might slow me down because then I'd have to, uh, make up the difference. But I am trying to constantly improve. Many of you actually commented and how much you like the new intros I've been tinkering around with since I've been able to upgrade some audio equipment and whatnots. I got a comment on an early video about how bad the audio was. I remember that video. That video was shot on, well, not this phone, but the phone I had before this, before I had, some good audio. Can't get rid of the jet noise without a sound room. I just ain't got the money to build one. So let's be honest, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I am happy to be able to do this. I really am. It's been a blessing for me. I enjoy it. Let's see here. A12 Drake, can you tell me about creating in terms of creator deities? If you're asking about creation stories and creation deities and how creation generally is woven in together, yeah. So you do have creator deities. You do have creation myths with inside practically every mythology. Now, having the opportunity to sit down and talk with so many of these different creator entities, there is truth to all the myths. All the creator entities actually did take part in the creations in one manner or another. It's not one singular solitary creator entity. But you have to look at it from the viewpoint of the humans who are recording it. Okay? At one point in history, a human in something like the state of Israel or the state of Texas, a landmass just that size, that was their whole world. They didn't know anything was bigger. So their mythology, their writings of inscribing and writing down these myths kind of resembled that. Now, of course, with some cultures like the Vikings, seafaring was a thing too, and theirs were recorded much later in history. But their mythology still held from their writings and their viewpoints. And that has to be taken into context when we are looking at this. So, yes, these creator entities all played a part in some way in creation of what we would view as everything. But no singular entity was the singular creator of all, if that makes sense. So there is truth to all, but there is also slant and viewpoint perspective that needs to attempt to be meditated on and sorted through to some extent if you're trying to sort through that mess. Me personally, I'm not overly trying to sort through it. When I'm working within the Norse, I do focus on the Norse creation myth because the wisdom and gnosis that comes from that myth working with that current, it's going to fit. Interestingly enough, though, you could easily grab a creation myth from over here, and it'll fit. You can actually still make it fit. So overly getting bogged down in that isn't something I've done. I do know a lot of practitioners, though, who really are trying to, figure the spiritual, multiversal, and magical concept of the creation and just how it was woven. They're trying to understand it. Is it something that we, with our physical limitations, can understand? I don't know. Part of me theorizes we can't because we do have certain limitations placed upon us while we reside in the physical realm. That may be something that happens after ascent that we'd be better able to understand. I don't know. But for those practitioners who are researching it, I'm always anxious to see what they come up with. I really am. Hope that helps a little bit, A12. Lisa, welcome. Yeah, this is definitely a place to learn. We have an entire playlist on Dragon Magic and how to get started. Also, you can find in the links below most videos. We do have an online school where there's a Dragon Magic 101 course. If you find the playlist interesting and you want to go deeper. That's one of the reasons I got the playlist, because I've never liked having to fully commit to anything, even though I make sure all the courses are affordable. Until I know a little bit more about it. So, yeah, by all means, jump over into that playlist and give it a check and see if it's your cup of tea or, in my case, a cup of coffee. Let's see what we got here. I think I'm a little behind on questions, and we are almost out of time. Let's see if I got any here I can take real fast. Solid dreams. Be for me or the person who lives. Okay, Kelly. Seeing a dragon's not really a good indication, especially if it's in a property. Because first off, dragons, they can hide, and they can sometimes not care if they're seen or whatnot. Those kinds of things. And see, they're throwing clocks at me already. So I never tell anyone to assume that just because you saw one or you see one in an area that it is calling to you or it's meant to be with you. Because first off, a guardian dragon, unless you go through the ritual, you don't have a guardian dragon. Dragons don't function like guardian angels. You're just not born with a dragon. That would be so handy, though. Then again, I think how mischievous mine is. That might be more of a problem than handy. Okay, I'm two minds of that. Um, but if you are interested, you could attempt to speak with. There are a lot of dragons that I know of that actually take up residence in nature or areas, and yes, even in neighborhoods. These dragons just like the area for whatever reason, even if they just like the energy that's underground or above it. Even you have a lot of air dragons who will actually layer up in the air, um, and practitioners who are able to see whose sight is kicking on and off uncontrolled, they will occasionally catch glimpses of them. So that's really not a. I really can't answer that one for you because there's too many variables available. It could be for you. It could be a dragon that has an interest in your friend. But there's also a other few reasons that may have been seen in that area. Hope that makes some sense. Hey, Jedi, you made it in time for them to start throwing clocks at me, mate. Have I ever worked with Belial in his dragon aspects? Yeah, during the Pathworking workings, I did work with Belial in his draconic aspects. Though, again, I have to state, Belial's dragon aspects, they are Belial taking on the aspects and imagery of serpents and dragons. It's not a literal true dragon. There is a differential there, and dragons are very, very quick to point that out. And a lot of you is like, Drake, you don't have to keep pointing that out. My co-magician over here is ready to bonk me in the head with something if I don't point that out. So I do, and I don't want to get bonked, so I will keep pointing that out. Let's see. Okay. Yep. All right. Those are the only ones I can get quick because we are running over our hour here, and I do still have a meeting tonight. Everyone, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Do keep an eye out for the vlogs. I am going to try and get the vlogs up and running. As you saw in Friday's vlog, I'm actually wanting to touch a little bit on scientific method and how I utilize it in Magic because I know that's just like well, you can't do that. I'm going to show you how I do it. So perhaps that'll make a bit more sense and try to dive into more what I mean when I say the um, science of magic. And also, I'm going to attempt to take you all along as I said in that video. I like to test my own ideals. I like to put my own beliefs to the test because this helps me either reinforce what my dad has already shown me, or it helps me gain new data to perhaps adjust or even completely flip flop my opinions. Like I said earlier in the stream, I want these to be very psychological only. But my data over the years has caused me to completely flip my viewpoint on that. And that's okay. We grow as practitioners. Never become so dogmatic that you're not willing to view your own data. Never. Never. But that's one of the things I'm wanting to do with the vlog. And some of you have asked if I would show some outdoor skills or bushcraft stuff because you guys have heard me talk about it here a time or two or in the Discord server. I'm going to look into that. I actually am. I was thinking about I'd like to get out in the woods, do a camp out and shoot some videos, but the way things are, it's getting out and getting camping is getting harder. So I may just break down and show some of the basics, go outside here in the yard and show you some basics. And then hopefully this year, if I get out into the woods, I'll be able to take the camera gear with me. In that case, then I'll, shoot there. But I don't also want to make you guys wait until, things straighten up there. So we are going to try that because I do agree with you all. Self-reliance, self-sustainability, these skills, this working with your hands, that is self-mastery. Anything you learn that frees you and gives you control over your life, that is self-mastery. I completely agree with you all there. And I would like to share that with you. In fact, weather permitting, my daughter's looking to visit, and she's never started a fire with flint and steel. I'm thinking about doing a video of me trying to teach her and actually film that. if I can get her to agree to it. This is just comedy gold in my mind from what I'm picturing. So we will see about that. All right. All right, everyone, you have a wonderful day. Not day, it's already night here. Have a wonderful week. That's the one we're shooting for. Have a wonderful week. Keep up your research, keep up your practice. Keep those journals. Remember, that is hands down your most powerful tool in your path. And I will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.